Like the director in Francois Truffaut's Day for Night, Logan Crow, the founder and executive director of Long Beach Cinematheque, is obsessed with movies.
We're the Long Beach Cinematheque. We're putting that event on, yes.
And like most obsessions, it began at an early age.
My parents had us pretty young. They were still just kind of into having a social life and film and all the things that people in their 20s and 30s still want to do. And Dad would take me to see films that probably in retrospect may not have been the best films to take, your young children to, but they were formative experiences.
Logan sat down recently with correspondent Liza Mitchell for an interview.
What movies first influenced you? What is your first memories of?
For me, Elephant Man would be the film that I first remember being really sort of struck by. Back in the day, we used to have On TV. It was like pre-HBO, right? A little box, Select TV, On TV. And for whatever reason, On TV would show the Elephant Man like every hour on the, like all day long, throw in a Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, and then back to, the Elephant Man. And I was really, really mesmerized by the Elephant Man. I was sure way too young to really get it. But, I was really kind of crazy and obsessed about this character. And I would, like kids would draw E.T. and stuff like that. I would draw the Elephant Man, like on my little peachy and stuff like that. And I remember the cinematography, even if I didn't have a word for it then, just the look of the film and the carnival music. I was really, really, really mesmerized by that film.
And thanks to his father's eclectic choices, Logan found himself being drawn into worlds foreign, yet familiar. They spoke to a sensibility he could identify with, yet could not quite articulate at the time. And at the tender age of 11, his father took him to see David Lynch's Blue Velvet.
That was a life-changing moment. I was really crazy about that movie, and I couldn't have possibly known quite what was going on, but it was just so jarring and scary and funny and weird. I was scared of Dennis Hopper's character Frank, kind of obsessed with it, and I was running around like, I was a weird kid. And so, you start to make the connections later. Okay, so I'm into surreal films and I'm into art films and stuff like that, but back then it was just, there was a certain something that some films would do that would make me gravitate towards them. If I started to watch them or rent them or something like that, it was always the more artistic films, and that for whatever reason just stood out for me.
One of the rewards of art is that it can open our eyes to what we have in common, our struggles, doubts, our joys. In that respect, the potential for art is everywhere, even horror films, one of Logan's favorite genres, which you come to appreciate when he discusses one of his favorite movies, The Exorcist.
And The Exorcist, I defend as a remarkable film beyond its horror genre. I still talk to people who've never seen it. They're scared to see it. Adults. They remember when it came out. They remember people freaking out. They're scared of devil movies, or they're religious, or whatever, or they think it's vulgar. And I always want to say, like, you need to sit down and watch it, because it's actually a brilliant character piece and a wonderful examination on faith.
It's more than psychiatry, and you know that, Tom. Some of their problems come down to faith, their vocation, the meaning of their lives, and I can't cut it anymore. I think I've lost my faith, Tom.
And it's scary as hell. It's one of the scariest movies ever, but it's so much more than that. I like movies that sort of transcend genres that way and can excel as one genre, but at the same time be something completely different.
Be an incredible piece of art.
Yeah, I think this is a total work of art, absolutely.
While studying filmmaking at Long Beach City College, equally important was his education outside of the classroom. And how does one acquire an education in cinema? By watching movies, of course.
I grew up in Hermosa Beach. We had the Bijou Cinema. And that was my place. I loved the Bijou. I saw Il Postino there at Cinema Paradiso, which is obviously a very formative film for me. And when the Bijou closed, it was like something out of the Last Picture Show. I mean, I was just devastated. My parents and I saw so many films at the Bijou, and the Bijou ended up being one of those places where it didn't matter what was playing there. I wanted to see it.
When the Bijou closed, Logan's passion took him to Los Angeles.
I would spend an obscene amount of time at a theater called the New Beverly, which to this day shows nothing but repertory double features. I love that cinema. And back then, They didn't have their own website yet. They print these amazing calendars, the big ones, and I would always go and collect them when they were ready and put them up around school at Long Beach and wherever I could.
He also created a MySpace page called Mondo Celluloid, which included a calendar of anything having to do with repertory cinema in the Los Angeles area.
I did it as a side project, not looking to make money off it, just to help and dedicate part of my time to what was important to me. And that page started blowing up with followers. It was just like huge, and it was exciting. And we started getting a lot of, I started getting requests. Can you play this? Can you play that? And I'd be like, I don't play anything. I'm not programming these theaters. I'm just here to share a calendar. But then that started to kind of, I wonder if I could do that.
His first programmed event was a midnight screening of the Russ Meyer cult classic, Faster Pussycat, Kill, Kill, at the Vista Theater in Silver Lake.
And that experience in itself was just amazing because I had to learn about how to book a film and where to get the print. I finally reached Russ Meyer's assistant, and she's like, oh, just come to Russ's house. So I'm going to Russ Meyer's house to pick up these cans, and then, we were able to reach out to Haji, who just recently passed away, unfortunately. She came out. She was one of the 3 villains, right? And it was a great evening. We did it again with Blue Velvet, and then with Blue Velvet, we had the little bakery shop next door. They made Blue Velvet cupcakes.
Oh.
So already that sort of communal, let's try to get other businesses involved thing was starting.
When he learned the Art Theater in Long Beach was reopening, Logan continued his midnight programming there. And it was around that time that something else caught his attention.
Well, first of all, I started to notice a general absence of film culture in Long Beach. We have amazing filmmakers in Long Beach. We have tons of film lovers in Long Beach. We have different groups that make films in Long Beach. We have great film schools in Long Beach. Everything from the colleges down to Bob Cavesa's YMCA Youth Institute group.
With so many individuals and organizations, filmmakers and cinephiles in such proximity, Logan wanted to find a way to bring them together so they could share their common passion. He needed to expand his base beyond that of Mondo Celluloid.
We had a meeting and I said, Mondo Celluloid might be a little bit too garish and, specific, because, Mondo as a word is used, these sort of 60s, grindhouse, Mondo Cano, Mondo Psycho. And certainly that's why I used it with Mondo Celluloid. Our logo was a bloody hand with film going through it. So we chose Long Beach Cinematheque. For me, it was an homage to the original Cinematheque in Paris, and certainly in the American Cinematheque, and these places that do amazing work. Then San Francisco's got a Cinematheque. I thought Long Beach should definitely have a Cinematheque. And then that led to just being able to do a lot more things and partner with new groups and
Build community through the arts.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
The popularity of Long Beach Cinematheque has grown steadily ever since. And their goal is no small task. As they declare in their mission statement, they're dedicated to educating, connecting, and enriching audiences through the art of cinema. One of the appeals of their approach is the variety of venues at which movies are screened. In the past, they've shown films on the beach, in warehouses, parks, schoolyards, and a local church. With the recent acquisition of an inflatable screen, they no longer have to rely on the kindness of others, which has allowed them to schedule even more screenings. This past year, they've had outdoor screenings of Mary Poppins, Annie, Eraserhead, and Rosemary's Baby. The Academy Award-winning film The Artist was shown on top of a parking structure, and the silent classic Nosferatu was screened at a local cemetery. Both The Artist and Nosferatu were accompanied by an original score, performed live by the Balboa Amusement Company Orchestra. Like most true cinephiles, Logan prefers his cinematic experience be delivered on the big screen, with an audience.
Seeing movies on big screens for me, it's an experience beyond just the grandness of the film. It's being surrounded by an audience. Part of the reason why your heart races in the theater, I think, is because of the collective palpitations happening around you.
And those collective palpitations have benefited from the diverse and eclectic choices of Logan's programming. The most popular event in the Cinematheque calendar, as well as its biggest fundraiser, is the Long Beach Zombie Walk.
We were doing a midnight screening of Night of the Living Dead, and we thought, let's do a zombie walk down 4th Street to get people through the door.
And from its humble beginnings on 4th Street, it's grown to festival proportions in downtown Long Beach. As Long Beach Cinematheque has grown, so has the vision of its founder, which brings him to the next logical step in the Cinematheque's evolution, a permanent venue that would serve as a continuous showcase for art house fare.
Yeah, I was getting to that point where I have made so many connections with independent film studios, with independent filmmakers, I've been to so many seminars around the country for art house programming, and the calling was just so loud. I want to program an art house, and I want to do it right.
He was offered the chance to take over a theater that was about to close. And after some deliberation, it was christened the Frida Cinema, after the Mexican artist Frida Kahlo.
Here's a woman who, beyond her style, her aesthetic style, which is incredible and surreal, and I have a penchant for surreal art. She painted most of her pictures from her bed in massive pain because of this horrific accident, and she put it all in her art, and traveled and lived her life, and was expressive about her bisexuality, expressive about her communist leanings, and for me, it's not about relating to communism. It's not about that. It's just about the expression. Her legacy, I think, transcends, what would have been rational. I thought she just embodied everything that I believe in terms of what my responsibility to art is, and also to myself as an individual.
His plans for the Frida are very clear.
And I want this to be an art house cinema. I want to be able to show films here that people will not have an opportunity to see anywhere else on any given day. I want to do festivals. I want to do spoken word. I want to really use this auditorium in a creative way. We already had our first event there. We partnered with OC Film Fiesta, which is a film festival, and helped them move their festival into the cinema where I think it belongs. We had a screening of Metropolis with a live score. The orchestra was, this mixed group from Santa Ana with Steve Anderson and from Long Beach with Sandra Wolf, and put together this amazing score, and to see a really nice crowd inside the theater.
The Frida is located in the thriving arts district in Santa Ana. However, Logan does not want to abandon the base he's established in Long Beach. He currently plans on keeping a foot in both cities. Wherever his passion takes him, the goal will always be the same: bringing the community together through what is arguably the most important art form in the past century.
Art to me is a language. It's a culture. There was this film called Tarnation. It's this great film by this filmmaker, Jonathan Coet. He used to run around the video camera when he was like 6 all the way through to his 20s. He recorded everything. He would save every little voicemail tape that he'd had on his little answering machine. He had all this footage, and he put it onto a Mac and made this documentary about his life. And I remember watching it, and there's a footage from his high school. And this is like, I'm totally going to be wrong on this, but somewhere in the Midwest, some small town in the Midwest, I want to say. And there's a shot of him in his high school, and he had his friends for the talent show do a musical version of Blue Velvet using the music of I want to say Marianne Faithfull, and nothing else, right? And I'm watching it, and I'm sitting there going, that entire group looks like my group of friends, all of them. She looks like my group from high school, and that girl, and that guy, and we all watched Blue Velvet, and we were all listening to her music. And then his soundtrack was the soundtrack of my life. Cocteau Twins, the music that I listened to, the 4AD bands. And I remember thinking, that's so weird that in the Midwest, this counterculture group of artsy-fartsy, pansexual, artists dressed like we dressed and listened to what we listened to. And what's that about?
Attento. Abracadabra. Guarda dall'altra parte.
The magic of art is that it has a way of touching people. Logan Crow wants to show how art in general, and movies in particular, can bring us together when they remind us of our shared humanity.
I think that the reason I champion arts in general is because I look at it as a language that some kids need, for whatever reason, to make sense of the world, or to not feel so alone, or to not feel like, or for whatever reason they thought, the world around me doesn't make sense, but this does, so I want to follow this path. It's important. It's important that kids have access to that.
Alfredo è bellissimo!